Guys, so I often talk on the survival podcast about how I do my cull roosters out of my flock when I just feel they're not worth plucking, and this is what I end up with. This is the results of two young Rhode Island red cockerels. They were getting big enough that they were kind of conflicting with the flock rooster, and it was about time to go ahead and process them. And as you can see, I just take the leg quarters and the breast. You can see with my hand, it's not a huge portion that you get off these birds. Again, this is I guess what most people call a dual-purpose bird, a Rhode Island red, but I really see them as an egg layer. And I think when you're getting, this much per single bird, I just don't really see the point here of going through all of the mess to scald and pluck two birds. It just takes too long. The way I do these, I put them down the way anybody does with a couple cuts to the neck veins, and I let them bleed out. Once they're bled out, I cut down the center of the breast, pull the skin off to both sides, push the skin down around the thighs. Before I pull the skin down the legs, I go ahead and cut the feet off, pull the skin off, cut through the joints, take both leg quarters, then just cut down, just like you would debone chicken breast if it wasn't on the full chicken, if you just had it on the bone from the store. And this is what we end up with. And when I've processed birds of about this age, and these birds are probably about 18 weeks old, what I like to do is soak them in a little bit of salt water. And some of this will probably get eaten right away, and some of it might get frozen. I don't know what our plans for dinner are for the next few days right now. But there's about 2 teaspoons of salt in there, and I'll add enough cold water to make sure that the meat's covered. And that'll help to tenderize it a little bit. And it'll also let me go on about my daily activities without having to worry about it in the refrigerator. And so it'll soak in there for not even all day, probably about till lunchtime. It's about 7:30 in the morning right now. And then I'll come in and I'll dry it, and I'll put it on paper towel to dry it all off, and package it up based on what we're going to do with it. But there you go. That's what I'm talking about when I say I don't pluck them, and that's what I end up with.